you got to have boundaries, and you have to make boundaries for people as well, because not everyone is for you and not everyone is against you, but you need to figure out who those people are and set the boundaries for them, but also set boundaries for yourself, because it's one of those ways where you can keep yourself in check. What's up, people? Welcome to the Chef and the Wigmaker.
I'm so excited to be here. My name is Jane.
Ed Harris here.
So today we're going to talk about relationships and how we navigate some of the most important relationships in our lives. So Chef, you're going to start off.
All right. So I think for me, the first thing is, the relationship with yourself, right? Like, it's super important. What do you, how do you take care of yourself, right? There's a bunch of different things. There's, like, for instance, self-improvement, right? Taking care of yourself in terms of what does that look like for you? For me, it's getting a massage like every month. Like, I love getting massages. And it makes me feel good. When I'm done, I'm relaxed, I'm ready to go, because my work sometimes can be very strenuous.
Yes.
And, like the last gig I just did, I'm pulling 14, 16-hour days. So a massage is definitely needed. Besides a massage, I would say, promises that you make to yourself, that is super important, right? If you make a promise to yourself and you don't keep it, even though it's just a promise that you made to yourself, I think that it does damage, because your mind is now looking at you saying, well, you don't even keep your word to yourself, so why would you keep your word to anybody else? And then that slowly diminishes and just chips away at your self-confidence.
100%.
It chips away at just how you feel as a person. And then you feel like almost like a failure, because you're literally
like a fraud.
Yeah, right? Because like if you say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, or no, forget that. We're fasting right now, right? So, if you tell yourself you're going to fast, and then 2 days later, when you're supposed to be doing a 5-day fast, you're breaking your fast. you just broke a promise to yourself. And it's like, it might not seem like anything right there in the interim, but over time, it really does damage, and I feel it's super important for us to keep our word to other people and to ourselves, right? Like, it's super important to do that. And I think the last one is just setting boundaries. When it comes to relationships. You got to have boundaries, and you have to make boundaries for people as well, because not everyone is for you and not everyone is against you, but you need to figure out who those people are and set the boundaries for them, but also set boundaries for yourself, because it's one of those ways where you can keep yourself in check, right? Which is super important, I feel, just being an individual, and especially just navigating life, in general, right?
I agree. And that brings me to the second thing I want to talk about, which is family.
Yeah.
Or family and friends. I always say, don't give anyone a title. Just because they're your family or your friends, don't give them a title. Let their action put them in a category in your life.
True.
Because if your mama doesn't want the best for you, she ain't your mama. She's the enemy. I know it sounds harsh.
It does sound harsh.
Take the title away from people, because what that does, it lowers your guard. It's almost like you're out there just free falling, with emotionally free falling, while people are just taking jabs at you because, oh, that's uncle, that's my girlfriend from like 20 years. No, take the title completely out of every relationship and just go based off of how they're treating you. And I find that even the strongest people, they will let their guard down for a very toxic family member who continues to bring them down, who continues to take a chip into their, chip at their self-confidence, because, oh, they're your uncle, your aunt, your sister, your brother, your twin. I don't care who it is. If they're not filling your cup, if they're not fanning your flames, if they're not making you feel good, they are what they are, which is stunting your growth, and they're the enemy. That's just what it is. Take the title out and you'll be able to handle people a lot differently. I learned that the hard way.
I know.
Okay.
I was there.
You know what I'm saying? I know I'm speaking very passionately about it because I'm talking from experience. And also constantly take inventory of people around you. So just because they were fanning your flames, last week, tomorrow is a whole nother day. Yeah. So understand that people shift, characters shift, people show their colors, people move around. So constantly take inventory. So if somebody looked out for you 5 years ago and now they want your head on a platter, you need to understand that that's the same person. And you now have to adjust to fit whatever they're giving you at the time. And another thing I want to talk about is intention when it comes to family and friends. Like, we are all busy, and I'm noticing now that I'm getting together with some really amazing people in my life. My girlfriends, I love my girlfriends. They're amazing. They motivate me. I have to be really intentional about hanging out with them and nurturing that relationship. I mean, they all say when they call me, "Oh, Jane, I know you're busy," because I homeschool the kids. We homeschool, and we're doing the business. And I'm like, no. When it comes to my girlfriends, I have a special time that I have to create for my friends so we can bond and and get together. So just like with any relationship that you want to grow, you want to be intentional about that, because everybody is busy.
You have to nurture it.
You have to nurture it.
Yeah.
So if you keep calling somebody and they don't pick up, or they text you when you call them, like, after a while, your girl's gonna stop calling. I'm like, look, you're not the only one who's busy. I will not keep bothering you. I'm gonna leave you alone. So just like with anything else, you have to nurture relationships. So yeah. So, Chef, you gonna talk about spouse?
All right. Yeah, I think spouse and what, family?
No,
spouse and
significant other. Yes.
Yeah, right. So relationships with your spouse. I mean, I think with that, it's not okay. It's needed to be said, but you should also know, right? I mean, okay, first things first. Building, if you are married, we're married, right?
Thank God.
So
today we are.
So when you're creating these relationships, right, even though you know this person, you get married to them, you still have to cultivate that relationship, right? So what does that look like? I mean, there's touching on things like forgiveness, right? You don't want a situation where you're pointing fingers at your significant other 24/7, because it's like there's always two sides to the story. There's always more than one reason for what things are going on. So it's like, you can't just sit there and go, it's your fault, it's your fault. Like, you have to look within instead of blaming your significant other, right? Like, you really need to look deep within you and see what you can do better to make that situation right. I remember in the very beginning of our relationship, after we got married, it was a little tough, right?
It was rough.
And it was tough because we were both looking at the other person like, why don't you change your ways? And, one day we kind of had an epiphany based off of, reading books and
going to church.
And it was like, if you stop pointing fingers and just see what you can do better as an individual, as a person, it makes everything so much better. Because if your sole job as husband and wife, right, as partners, is, for me, all I do is make sure that Jane is taken care of. Make sure that whatever she needs, I'm doing for her, and I'm not thinking about myself, then she's going to be amazing. And then if she's doing the same thing for me,
100%,
then we're both winning, because I'm giving her 100%, she's giving me 100%. So nobody's feeling like, oh, I'm being taken advantage of because, like, I take care of her and she's not really taking care of me, right? Because sometimes people can feel like that in a relationship. So
I will say, both people have to get the memo now.
Yeah.
Because some people in relationships where it's just one-sided. We both sat down and we made that decision and we followed through.
Yeah.
And I think that saved our marriage, because I felt, like you said, the rough time, it was like, we were like, what's going on? But it was the pointing of the fingers, like you blaming.
Literally blaming the other person.
And it was destroying the friendship that we worked so hard to build from the beginning, why we met and why we fell in love. And I didn't realize how bad it was until we had to have that conversation. And when we decided that we were going to give each other 100%, everything changed.
Yeah, and that brings me to the point of being intentional, right? About what you do with your spouse, how you do it, how you treat them, right? It's really important to, make them feel comfortable, with whatever the situation is, and not necessarily point fingers or just make the significant other feel really bad for whatever it is that happened, either between the two of you or just something happening, and then you're like, oh, well, you could have done that better, or you should have, like, there's no need to, You know what I mean? So just being very intentional, I think, is really important. And then the other part of that is just privacy,
Ooh,
right?
The P word.
Yeah. And you might think, like, what does a husband and wife need privacy from each other? But it's not necessarily privacy from each other. It's just
whatever goes on in this circle stays in this circle.
yes,
or you go to a professional.
Yeah, you want to be very careful when you are taking what's going on at home and letting your cousin, your sister, your brother, know, because
Nene and them.
Everybody is they'll pick sides.
Yeah.
And based on who you go to, they might pick your side, they might pick your wife's side.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be really dangerous. So being able to talk to each other, and if that's not working, then actually seeking professional help, like you said, and not just a mom and pop kind of thing, because your family 9 out of 10 times is going to have your best interest,
of course,
right? Hopefully.
Of course.
And then your spouse is left out in the cold.
Well said.
You know what I mean?
Leave him.
Yeah, and you don't want that kind of situation because they're biased at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? So a professional
is the undercover hater.
Either way, it's not good. Right? So going to a professional is going to keep it very neutral.
Yeah.
And that's going to allow you to really...
We hope. Now, let's get back to that professional. Because I remember when you and I decided to go see a therapist.
Yes, get some help.
This therapist was the devil. Like, you need to do your research, do a Google search, read customer reviews on the actual therapist.
But that might not even help.
Well, at least it's a start. It's something, babe.
This
lady, I was like, what are you here? Like, is this your job? It was bad.
Yeah. I mean, she basically tried to turn me against Jane.
Where Eddie was like,
it's your fault.
That's not what I came here for. Like, he even peeped it. And he was like, I think she was taking my side too much. Like, it was bad, that bad. So make sure you do your research. Because that's like a very sensitive time in our marriage where we really needed the help.
Yeah.
And then she just
just being mindful of the information you're receiving.
Ooh, yes.
Because it doesn't matter that you're going to a professional. The professional could be really bad at their job.
Yes.
So it's like for instance, I'm a chef, and there are a million chefs out there, but not all of them are good. Like, there's chefs that are horrible. So just because you have a title as a therapist or whatever the case may be, that doesn't necessarily make you the best at your job. So when you do go for help, just still have an extra eye,
third eye,
and just
pay attention on your forehead.
Yeah, and just pay attention to the information that you're receiving and how it's making you feel, because that can literally be detrimental and could possibly end your relationship.
I'm so glad that we had, even if you and I were beefing, like we were like, oh, you're getting on my nerves. Yeah. We still had that love.
Yeah.
And it was in love that you said, Jane, I think she was taking my side too much. And I was like, I thought it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so grateful that we didn't go there too broken. Because Chick would have just broken it all the way up.
She would have.
It was bad.
I mean, if our marriage was really bad, rocky,
we would have ended it.
There were a bunch of problems like happening, it would have been a wrap.
It would have been done. Based on what she did.
I remember the feeling that I got from listening to her. Like, I was getting mad at you. I was like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like steaming. But I was like, wait a minute. Like, that's not even the case.
Yes.
But the way she presented it and worded it to me, it was all Jane's fault.
She was diabolical.
So.
Evil.
I think she was attracted to me.
You know what?
No, I'm just kidding.
I know, but honestly, what else was it?
I mean,
Chick was trying to take my man. Now, you know what I mean? She was terrible. She was terrible.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think this brings us to clients, relationships, which I know you love.
I love this relationship. And a lot of people, don't want to, work relationships are a little different. But for me, when it comes to client relationships, what's the word? I'm not great with big words. I just love it. It makes my heart smile. It makes me happy.
It makes you happy.
It really does. I've always loved relationship with clients because I've always seen my clients as family, as an extended part of my family. Because think about it. If it wasn't for my clients, I wouldn't be able to achieve not a lot of things in my life.
Yeah.
They've trusted me with their looks. They've trusted me with money. They've trusted me with my opinion. So I take that really, really seriously to a point where it's an obsession. I actually formed a private group for my clients where they come in and we just have a ball. So client relationship to me is such an important one because not only is it financially beneficial, like, listen, they started off buying from me, but it has become something that I can't even put money on.
True.
My clients pray for me. They email me. We chat about their kids and their grandkids.
They send you gifts.
And they send me gifts, if they're going through a divorce or if they just got married. Like, it is a very, very healthy situation. Like, I am so grateful to have that. Yeah. It makes me so happy. And I think that has kind of helped us run the business the way we do. Mm-hmm. Because certain things, if I'm not going to do it with my child or my family, I'm not doing it with my clients.
Yeah.
I don't play by my clients.
Yeah, and I love that you said that because, relationships is a really funny thing. Like, even with having your own business, there's the relationship of your clients, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's like the relationships like I create versus what Jane does. Like, for instance, I was just consulting on a project in Phoenix, and this was a brand new team that I got to work with to open up this restaurant in the Marriott. And the relationship that we all built over the course of 2 months,
oh my gosh,
you would have thought that we knew each other for at least a decade.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that was so important for us to be able to train the staff to get them ready to open up this restaurant. And it was just such a beautiful thing to see everybody just come together and really work well with each other just because of the care and just the way the people in charge handled everyone else, right? So it's super important as an owner, as a boss, as a manager to build relationships with your clients, with your employees, with everyone that you interact with. Like, I mean, you got to the resort and everyone that saw you,
they spoke highly of the relationship and they all brought up the relationship, how kind you were, how nice you were. And I think also with a relationship, it is a course of time. Like, my clients, when they come at first, when they buy, a wig from me, they're just like, okay, the wig. Okay, thank you. And then when I call them, it's like, oh, you called me. I'm like, yeah, you're part of my family now. Yeah. So it's that work that you put in after the sale. That's what has built the relationship with my client.
100%.
And also with you as an employee, when your employees drop the ball, how you respond to them, how you don't make them feel small, how you make them feel like it's okay, that builds the relationship of trust. And I think respect and honesty are anchors in a relationship. Like 100%. I remember one of my clients, I made a mistake on she wanted a left part. I know for some people this is, oh my gosh, but for my clients, this is a big deal. She wanted a left part and I parted her hair on the right. Yeah. And she was like, I don't look good with right parts. And she was so upset. But
I handled it.
It's a way, because I was like, I am so sorry I dropped the ball. I made a mistake.
You admit it.
You have to. You can't skip past the apology. Mm-hmm. And I remember she was like, the way you apologize, it's okay. It's no big deal. That client is my client for life. Mm-hmm. Like, she's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Because
now she knows she's working with someone who wouldn't, even when I drop the ball, I will admit to it. Because we're humans. Things are going to happen. Like, how do you handle a conflict? True. How do you handle when a client is emailing you and she's upset? She's not trying to buy.
Irate.
Exactly. How do you handle that? And I think those are the things that build a relationship. And as well with you, I think one of your staff, he was like, when I make a mistake, Chef doesn't raise his voice. That was the first thing he said. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, but that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it was crazy because this is a whole kitchen crew that has never cooked on a Chinese wok before, Mandarin wok, Cantonese wok. So the whole process for training them was brand new, right? But for me, the way I taught everyone in the kitchen, it was just very approachable. And it was more like, all right, you don't do it this way.
You see the way you lowered your voice?
Exactly. It wasn't like, what are you doing kind of thing, you know what I mean? Because like, I've worked with a lot of chefs like that. And it's like, some people get off on just raising their voice.
I can't do it.
On employees, but it's like the amount of information that they learned in the amount of time that we had was because of my approach to teaching and coaching them, right? So they were happy to come to work. They couldn't wait to see what else they could learn. And the whole learning experience was really fun, to the point where they're trying to figure out how to get me back to Phoenix so we can just work together, and it's not that they need me there. They just want to have me there just because it was that enjoyable for us to work together and just create these amazing techniques to cook food on the wok. So
beautiful.
I say this to say, building relationships is really important regardless of where you are. Even if you're the employee, if you're the manager, you're the owner, like people.
It's a superpower.
People's skills.
It's a superpower. It's the same. Listen, if you're good people, you care about people, you're honest with people, it will follow you through in every aspect of your life. You know what I mean?
100%.
I think that's a big deal. And all over Phoenix, when I was there, I felt like a princess. Everyone, oh my God, your husband. Oh, I was like, yeah, I know. He's amazing. It was everywhere. It was amazing.
Were you getting a little salty?
No, I was hating a little bit. I was like, come on, it was too much. It's like right? 8 people coming up.
It's normally all about you, right?
No, that wasn't what it was. It was too much, but it was fun. Yeah. I loved it. Because I knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
You deserved it. You worked hard.
Yeah, it was
You're
amazing.
a great teacher.
Thank you. You're a great teacher.
I try my best.
No, you do it. You do it.
So you're going to talk about the internet.
The internet. I mean, the internet.
The relationship with the internet.
I mean,
AKA haters. No, I'm saying.
The internet can be really dangerous or it could be really amazing.
Yes.
I agree. And I think just taking the internet with a grain of salt, it's like one of those things where you don't want to get caught up with the hype because everyone on the internet is either really rich, is traveling the world,
they have no
they're
bills.
On private jets, when it's literally a piece of paper with a circle cut out. Like, I mean,
who knows?
The internet has done so many crazy things with social media that it has so many people fooled. And it can be really dangerous. Yeah. So,
if you don't know yourself.
Yeah. And I say this to say, like, don't get caught up in the hype. Don't get mad or don't feel some kind of way because you see people traveling. Like, you have no idea what's going on in their lives. Like, they could be miserable. They could be unhappy. They could be broke. They could also be happy.
Yeah. But your mind
you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
And automatically that should be a wash, period.
Yeah. So you just see it and you take it at that level as it is and you just keep it moving, don't be on there scrolling, watching a bunch of people focus on you, do you, and you will get to where you need to get to. Like it's as simple as that, and I guess for me, it's like
You don't care.
I don't.
I don't care either.
I really don't.
Listen, I cared for 40 years. I don't care now.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I think that comes with age.
Care.
You know what I mean?
Hey.
It comes with age because I feel when you're younger, you kind of worry about what other people think
Young
a little
and
bit
lost.
more.
There's some 20-year-olds that are woke, that know, that have read the books, they've done the inner work, and they know. And there's some 50-year-olds that are still lost.
Yes.
So you have to be aware. You have to be, for me, it's like I have no shame in my game. Like this journey is personal for me. Like you could be doing all of that you're doing. Good for you. But what is, you know what I mean?
Kudos to you. Keep it moving. And, I'm going to keep it moving too. And I think the other thing is being confident in yourself.
Period.
Once you're happy with where you are in life, what you're doing, and you're just content, you don't worry about what you're seeing.
And you know what?
It doesn't affect you.
Even when I fail, I fall,
I don't
dust myself up and I'm like, okay.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
I do not care.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, failure should never be something that makes you feel bad. Ugh. Because failure, the number one thing it does is it tells you what not to do next time.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So no matter how many times you fail, there's always a lesson to get from it. And you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what it is that you did wrong so you don't do it again. Right?
Let the internet tell it.
Well,
your life is over with one mistake.
You messed up. You're broke now. You're bankrupt.
Tell somebody you broke. They're like, oh, you broke?
I knew it.
What? So all that stuff was fake.
Yeah. So you want to be very careful, with believing what you're seeing and then having that affect you. And, clean out your social media. Like if you're on social media heavy, unfollow some people. You know what I mean? If you see a page.
Chef follows 4 people. I think that's the healthiest. Like when I'm on his phone, I just see happy things because there's only 4 people he follows. His company,
Well, yeah,
the Virgin
maybe
Fantasy.
6. I
6
follow
people.
the in-house, so it's
He don't be seeing nothing on his timeline
unnecessarily, unless I
I
go
need to
searching.
clean mine out.
But sometimes it's hard to do that based on the business you're in. Like we have I have 2 pages, Jane has 2 pages, and then we have other pages for other businesses. So there's one page, my personal page, where I don't follow anyone because I don't want to see nonsense because I'm on my personal page the most. But then my business page, I'll follow everybody because it's my business page. Like I want you to see me and I maybe want to see you, right? So I feel when you have social media, you need to differentiate the two, and you need to have a personal page that you can do whatever you want, nothing crazy, of course. And then you have your business page where you're interacting with everybody, because that's where you can really get to do the things that help your business, right? Because you can't mix the two. Like you can't have your business and your personal be on the same page. Like,
I mean, I flirt with the two.
Lightly, right? But you still have separate pages for separate things, and that is what's really important.
So the last thing we're going to talk about is the relationship with the babies.
The kiddos,
the relationship with the children.
The children.
We homeschool our 3 children, and I
sure
think
do.
The relationship kind of changed in the last 3 years when we started homeschooling. It has just brought us so much joy and
headache.
Yes, as well.
A lot of headache.
But more fun than anything. Chef, stop, okay? I don't know what you're talking about.
Trust, homeschooling is not for the weak. Listen to me. All right? This is not something like, oh, it's cool. You get to homeschool, you get to do whatever you want. Yeah, but you need to be ready.
Yes.
Because your kids are with you 24/7.
That's right.
Right? You now are responsible for their learning 100%. Granted that if your kids are in public school, you're still responsible for their learning 100%.
It's the same thing.
They're not really learning nothing in school. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, school is a glorified babysitter.
It really is.
That's basically what school is right now. So
right now,
it's like,
especially
right now. Back in the day, you were learning in school, but now it's like half of the things they teach kids in school, they will never need it as an adult.
Ever.
So like, why are you teaching them?
Ever.
Because it's nonsense.
But I will tell you, Chef, there's ways that you can homeschool and be a superhero like we do. Okay, because we run 3 businesses. There's no way. We have a tutor. So what we do is we sit with a tutor every quarter to come up with a curriculum of what we want them to learn. So she's like been teaching for 30 years. So she comes up with the math and English and grammar, all the stuff that's structured.
Word.
And then what we do the fillers, which is Chef teaches them how to cook. We plant, we go to museums, we go to the orchestra.
We do all the fun stuff.
We do all the fun stuff, which is also a huge part of learning. So I would say we have the best case scenario right now.
I think so.
What we want to teach our kids, we just want to empower them.
Yeah. And basically, we're teaching our kids to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
To be able to take care of yourself and to be entrepreneurs. Like, at the end of the day,
that's the goal.
That's the goal. For you to be able to go out there and do your own thing, generate money for yourself, and not need to worry about getting money from somebody else. Because the minute you have to rely on somebody for your money, you're done. You know what I mean? Because you can be fired at any point.
Yeah.
You're not getting 2 weeks notice when you're getting fired. We're like, oh, we're going to let you go in 2 weeks. Like, nah, pack your stuff up and leave by the end of the day, if not immediately. So, when you're an entrepreneur, you get to create your schedule, and you also get to figure out how you're going to make money, because, there are ups and downs, there are pros and cons to working for somebody versus working for yourself. But there's nothing more gratifying than working for yourself.
You have time freedom. And I think that's...
You have everything freedom.
Yes. But the time freedom to me is the most attractive. Yeah. And I think for our kids, another thing that we really make a conscious effort of implementing and I guess practicing in our relationship with them is, I guess, putting ourselves in their shoes, which is what I feel like was missing when I grew up. Treating them like they're little humans.
They're little people.
Yeah, and that wasn't easy. And we actually went to a coach. Yeah. We got a coach, and we read books, and we attended a seminar. And one of my favorite teachings is by this doctor. Her name is Dr. Shivali. She's
awesome.
so amazing. She's written 3 books, and it's called The Conscious Parenting, which is pretty much being more aware, getting out of that norm of how you grew up, putting yourself in their shoes, treating them the way that makes them feel seen. And it's amazing when you see a child, my 7-year-old son, just to see that confidence in him, even when he's not really sure, but the way he talks about it, I just get so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning, but it's just an amazing journey so far.
Yes, I think so.
Chef, I'm all talked out of relationships. Thank you for joining me on my show. I'm just playing.
Wow. See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about?
I'm sorry. This was fun.
It was.
We
Thank
gonna
you
do it
so
again?
much. Yeah, we're gonna do it again. I don't see why not.
Same time, same place.
Same channel,
Same place.
same people,
Same place.
same place.
Ah! Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for checking us out, for listening, and please make sure to comment, leave us a message, let us know, share it, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, all that good stuff. You know what I mean, right?
Thanks for having us. This is awesome.